Are Liverpool in the Premier League title race? I think they're getting chronically slept on in discussions about who could win the title. They're only 3 points off Spurs, and people are coming up with these mad edits of Ange Postecoglou and Son and Richarlison and Maddison. Arsenal as well, of course, and Man City. But what about the one side that's actually won the Premier League out of the four that are currently top of the table? The one that has had a couple of years off since winning it, that has had a rebuild structurally because of all the transfers that happened this summer. And that's Liverpool. And then you look at the last couple of results. Now, I know Everton are dross, but 2-0 against Everton, 3-0 against Forest last weekend. That's 5 goals, and they're keeping things tight at the back. The one criticism of Liverpool is their defensive record in the last maybe even 18 months. Not as good as it used to be, especially with Van Dijk. Questions about him. In this video, we will dissect from top to tail why I think Liverpool are in the Premier League title race, from what I saw, especially against Forest, and where they go on in the next couple of fixtures in the league. We're not going to count the League Cup or the Europa League, but the Premier League games make for very, very interesting reading. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Would really appreciate that. Let's just start off an overview of what I saw against Nottingham Forest. It was a classic Liverpool smash and grab. They absolutely tore Nottingham Forest a new one. It helps by the fact that Forest were poor. They're lingering around the relegation zone and no one's talking about that. Turner is an awful keeper. So, his mistake for Salah's goal was shocking. But Liverpool put a lot of pressure on Forest. And you could argue even last season when Liverpool toiled and struggled a little bit, they wouldn't have got such a clean, clear result against a side like Forest and Everton. They might have only got 4 points out of 6, for example. So smashing Forest 3-0. I'd be worried if I was a City, Arsenal or Spurs manager looking at what Liverpool is slowly building, especially after the result against Spurs. I think the Spurs thing has kind of created a bit of a seismic shock around Liverpool in terms of, the Brighton result straight after wasn't great, and they've kind of refound their form a little bit. And they're navigating some really difficult personal things within the squad as well. Obviously, I can't comment too much on what Luis Diaz is going through, and it's horrific for whatever's happening in Colombia with his family. It's disgusting. The fact that Liverpool are able to kind of play for him a little bit and obviously mitigate the fact that he's not in the squad for personal reasons, obviously, shows you the camaraderie in this Liverpool squad, shows you that again, when Liverpool have these issues against them, and this is a deeply unfortunate one, that they can kind of have their backs against the wall and play for those players that they're thinking about in their heart, sort of thing. It's a kind of emotional quality to Liverpool that I think is a little bit underrated. I think it will serve them well in the Premier League title race, and obviously I have to say in this video that this Diaz situation gets resolved and he can come back and be a player that he is in the league, because he's an unbelievable player. I think he's been absolutely electric this season. He's been a joy to watch. That's the reality. Someone who was a joy to watch against Nottingham Forest and is increasingly looking like that is Darwin Núñez. As much as I hate to say it, I mean, in the last couple of weeks, he missed a couple of sitters that you think, wow, it was low-key embarrassing. But against Forest, he was ripping that back four an absolute new one. I mean, his pace, he gets that goal in the end after that ball gets driven across and he scuffs it into the roof of the net. But even more so, actually, the rebound goal, it kind of comes off the defender. It reminded me so much of Mane, Firmino, Salah. They were kind of weirdly clunky. They weren't Ronaldinho, Romario, Rivaldo in their prime. Salah, Mane and Firmino would run at full speed, hit a shot, get out their feet, surprise the keeper, and then the other one would score the rebound if it comes out. They weren't always looking for the perfect finish. They just try and get it on target with pace, and the other one would come sweeping in and get the finish. And that reminded me of the Szoboszlai and Núñez moment against Forest. These kind of rebounds, these kind of pressurising the keeper to make mistakes, and the other player from the left-hand side, the right-hand side, or from midfield is gobbling things up. I remember Jordan Henderson getting a few goals like that. And Liverpool did against Nottingham Forest. It shows you a lot that the front line can connect, whether Diaz is out through injury or obviously like last season, or personal issues in the game against Forest. Especially in terms of Firmino leaving. He was the glue that kind of bound Mane and Salah together. Now they've got Jota, Gakpo, Núñez, Diaz, and obviously Salah. that they can kind of rotate, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And Jota was absolutely instrumental against Forest as well. Gets his goal, and he is a very, very smart footballer, and he is getting the goals consistently for many seasons now for Liverpool. I was always a bit critical of Jota, especially in big games. Do we see enough from him? But if Liverpool are all playing and they come up against the Man Cities of the world, the Spurs is at home, for example, when they need 3 points in a Premier League title race, which I think they are in, then Jota will level himself out to the point where he plays these big games. He's got 10, 15 goals under his belt against the likes of Forest and other sides. He will find individual moments where I think he will turn into that player where he performs against bigger sides, which I don't think he has done as of yet. That's the incredible thing about this Liverpool side. There's an expansive quality to what Liverpool do. Everyone feels that they could rise with the tide. Everyone feels they're part of a team. It's a real team. It's probably it sounds it's a bit of a trope because obviously Spurs are a great side and Arsenal and City. But if I had to put my money on who's got the most camaraderie, who's got the best bond of a team, and with their fans as well, it's still Liverpool. What Jurgen Klopp's built there is a bit of a fortress. And again, it always feels like Liverpool versus the world. Have to talk about their defensive line. Since Konate's come in, I think he should have started earlier. I know he's coming back from injury, but Matip, I'm not a massive fan of him, but I'm a massive fan of Konate. Since he's come in against with Van Dijk, kept back-to-back clean sheets, puts in big challenges. He put in a couple against Nottingham Forest where you just think this guy's an absolute man mountain. He's huge, and he's good on the ball, and he's a leader. I think the actual average of Matip, I think Matip's there and Van Dijk's there. I think Konate brings that average. So even if Van Dijk has a lesser game, look at this kind of intricate analysis I'm showing you here with my hands. But I think that the level, if Liverpool do struggle defensively, that level, it doesn't go too far down. Especially with Andy Robertson out as well. Konate brings the average quality of the defensive unit of Liverpool up by at least 10-15%. They look far more sturdy, far more aggressive in the challenge. I'd rather play with Konate than Matip, and there are football fans out there, football puritans, that love Matip's ability to drive with the ball and link up play, and I'm not sure he's that good at doing that either. But Konate is a proper player, proper centre-back, and I think Liverpool fans will be absolutely chuffed that he's come back to full fitness. He was great against Forest, great against Everton. And there are games coming up. Let's talk about these games. They get an instant 3 points against Luton Town. They have to just apply themselves and they'll get 3 points. There isn't the quality there from Luton to defend that kind of the forward line for Liverpool. So going into the Brentford game at home, I think they'll smash Brentford 3 or 4-0. Then they go into the City game. If Liverpool arrive at the Etihad and beat City, that's it. That's it. It's Premier League title race on. Simple as that. They won't drop points Luton Town. And I think they'll smash Brentford. That's 6 points. That pushes them right close to the top of the table. I don't think Arsenal, Spurs or City necessarily will drop off. So I think there's going to be 4 sides all battling for the Premier League title race come early December. And I think the City game, I don't think they'll beat City, but there's a world they do. Especially they'll look at the Arsenal result and see how did Arsenal frustrate City. And Liverpool, if there's one bogey side for City, when City are playing well, I don't care about the Spurs games because there's no pressure for Spurs. I'm talking about both sides are going for the Premier League title race or the Champions League. Liverpool are the bogey side for Man City all day long. And if they beat City at the Etihad, it's Premier League title race on 1,000,000%. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Obviously, make sure you subscribe. Tons of Premier League content coming out throughout the week. And I'll see you very, very soon.